guys.
Hey, guys. You can say it too, Troy.
Okay. Hello. Hey, guys. All right.
Welcome to this week's episode of the 13th Floor Podcast. I am Cece.
I'm Alex.
I'm James.
And we have a wonderful guest. Troy. Troy is with us. Troy, introduce yourself. I know you've been on the show before, but if we have any new listeners.
Okay, good deal. I have been on some shows before, so this is super exciting to be back. I love 13th Floor. I am a frequent commenter and poster on your social media and stuff, and I thank you all so much for doing this work and coming back. I'm pretty excited that you're back.
Aw,
Thanks.
Troy.
Yeah, we like coming back, and then we like to leave people hanging for a little bit, just so they miss us.
Yeah.
Come back.
Now, Troy, our topic today, I feel like it's near and dear to your heart given some of the stuff that you've been working on. We're talking about haunted objects, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And as I understand it, Troy, you have kind of a hobby.
YouTube channel.
I thought you were about to
YouTube
say
channel.
he had a haunted object of his
Oh, gosh,
own.
I hope not.
Actually, that's where I thought you were going, too. I was like, okay. Second you got to the H part, I was like, oh, snap.
Yeah, you restore, you find things and restore them, and you basically provide stories and videos of your quest to do this, right?
Right. So I go. The YouTube channel is called Hourly Flipper, and I go to estate sales, yard sales, thrift stores, those kinds of things, finding things that they're undervalued or have been looked over, and put them on eBay for selling. And actually, that's so funny because my story, that is exactly built into the object that I want to share a little bit later. But the YouTube channel is connected to, sometimes it's a shop with me where I go out to those different places and show you like what it looks like in the wild. Sometimes I come back and say, this is how you take the best pictures of these things to spur interest in the items. And then every aspect of it, because it's not competition with anybody else. Lots of people are not going to come to where I am and go to my thrift stores. So, sharing it is not a competitive thing. I just want to help people out to make more money as things get more tight for more people.
I think it's a really cool idea, and it's like
cool.
the type of things that I like to watch. Like what was that show that I got really addicted to a couple years ago where they went to the flea market flip.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
I watched a lot of that.
I would imagine it's a little different than what Troy's doing.
It is a little bit different, but it also, like, you're going out, you're finding objects, you're figuring out what to do with them. But what is the most exciting item that you've ever found?
Funnily enough, they're cookbooks. There is such a following of cookbooks that are signed and cookbooks that are old, but also new cookbooks. And I wish I could remember the person's name. If you jump over to my channel, Hourly Flipper channel, you'll see her name, because I say, if you see these cookbooks, pick them up. And no one else knows them because they're just a normal book. But I've bought twice, 4 different books for $1.59 each, and then I sell them each for about $80. Wow. And that's pretty awesome.
That's a really good return on investment.
80x ROI, yeah, dang.
And everybody knows that, like, you would think that old Betty Crocker cookbooks would be something of value because they didn't make as many back then, and, have they survived till now? But these are books like from 2 years ago that have just come out. And I wish I could remember her name, but go over to the channel, you'll find it out, and then start looking for them now.
I will say, we did have a hard time tracking down a cookbook a few years back, and it just seems like they're very limited print. So I could see why they're such like high value items, because it's not like Dune.
Yeah. I love a good cookbook. Alex's mother actually does something very similar. She's got a little booth at a consignment shop where she goes and she will go through garage sales. She'll come down to our area and buy stuff like from the thrift stores around us. But the thing that kills me is that she doesn't keep track of what she paid, so she has no idea
Like her profit margin.
what her profit margins are. I imagine that you do that, Troy.
I do that.
Okay, that makes me happy. That puts my heart at ease because I'll be like, Kathy, how much have you spent on this stuff? She's like, I don't know. I'm just like, girl, you're crazy. Anyways, I think it's time for an icebreaker. James, what is our icebreaker?
Well, since we're talking about haunted objects, I was thinking, what is an object, possession, whatever you want to call it, that kind of has sentimental value to you? Like, you definitely wouldn't want it to wind up in a flea market?
I feel like mine's like, it's not really an object. It is an object. Probably the flash drive from our wedding with our wedding photos on it. That's the one thing that I can think of. I always stop to think, if I needed to grab something because our house was on fire, what would it be? It's always photographs. It'd be photographs of my kids and photographs from our wedding because those are irreplaceable. So that would have to be my answer. I feel like it's not like the most exciting or flashy answer. Alex, what about you?
This is going to be tough to follow with that for Alex. Okay.
I got a bookmark from Cece on our 3-year anniversary. That was this really nice leather bookmark. I absolutely loved it. I kept it and I was trying to read a whole bunch last year, and I was carrying books around with me pretty often, and I guess it slipped out of my book in a parking lot somewhere, and I was unable to find it again. It was devastating.
Yeah.
It was really upsetting. Now, a prized possession I haven't lost, because it's not with me, it's at my parents' house, is they made a blanket for me out of all my jerseys that I had from when I was like 3 years old in soccer all the way to when I was at the end of high school. And there was like a blanket made of all the jerseys. It's really cool.
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
Troy, what about you?
All right. Well, I'm glad Alex mentioned his first thing because I don't have any more of the object that's the most valuable to me. No, let me rephrase that. It would be wedding pictures. Yes, absolutely. Felt obligated because my wife may listen to this.
I was gonna say it sounds like somebody just walked into the room.
No, okay, so this was a product of the 70s. They're still around, but nowhere near as popular as they were back then. Do you all know Weebles?
Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
Exactly. Well, I had an Aunt Pauline that had lots of nieces and nephews, and she had a tree house of the Weebles and a little Weeble family. And I'd love to go over to her house to play with those things. Okay, I was like 4. Okay, let me preface this by saying that I was 4. And I just decided that I was going to bring home one of those Weebles. And I did. And my parents found out that I stole from Aunt Pauline, and it was a teachable moment. That's what I would say now. There was lots of discussion, but not really discussion about stealing. And so Weebles have a special place in my heart, both that I remember. But let me finish that. Aunt Pauline didn't care that I took it. I turned it back. I had to report, oh, so sorry. And I remember that from being 4, So Weebles are things of particular, if I were to have a hobby that was just something to just collect, it would be Weebles.
I think that's a pretty cool little hobby. Have you ever found any while you've been out at the thrift shops?
Yes, absolutely. And the tree houses are pretty special too. And they bring some good money.
Cool. That's nifty. All
right.
James.
Yeah.
James, what about you?
Dating back to the 13th century. No. I have a couple of notebooks from when I was a teenager, and it's got my first poems and songs and narratives and just like the first stuff I ever really like wrote. And can't imagine not having them.
Look at that. We got some cool objects, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what's not so cool? The haunted objects.
Well, some of them might be cool. Cool spots.
I don't know. I don't
in the
know about
house.
that. This is honestly, and this is one of my biggest fears going thrifting, Troy, is like, I legitimately worry that I'm going to find something and bring it home and it's going to have a spirit attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex thinks I'm crazy, but I'm like, what if? Have you ever had that fear, or have you ever come across an object and you've been like, this is not cool?
I hate pictures from like the 1800s where they went and they, really dressed up but they didn't smile. I find those. And, then there's this whole subgenre of ephemera, pictures of the dead from back then. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Full agreement.
I wouldn't want to bring one of those home. I think that the dolls are what freak me out. Like, occasionally I'll come across a doll and I'm just like, this shouldn't be here. There's a reason for this. But, wow. I think we're going to start off with Troy today, though. Troy is going to talk about something pretty nifty.
Well, thank you, everybody. And hello again, and thank you for having me on. It's funny when you have two completely separate groups of friends and they talk about the same things really often. I was listening to a podcast, actually Mysterious Universe is what started me down this rabbit hole. They presented this story, and then I listened to a comedy podcast, and the comedy podcast is Matt and Mattingly's Ice Cream Social. They're out of Las Vegas. And I'll tell you at the end, you'll know at the end how they're connected. But I'm also going to tell you my sources at the end of the story, or it'll give it all away. All right?
Okay.
So my haunted object is called the Dybbuk box, Dybbuk. Okay? That is an object. Here's its history. There's lots of history. I'm going to truncate it really down because the end leads to another minor topic and then a fun topic there at the end, okay? So back in 2003, there was a listing that popped up on eBay. So I'm bringing up eBay into this from a seller. His name was Kevin Mannis, Mannis. And he said, I was at an estate sale and I bought a wine box, an antique wine box. So it's really a square thing about 18 inches by 18 inches by 18 inches where they would put wine from back in the day. And I got it from this estate sale where the person who passed away was a Holocaust survivor. Since I've had it, I have been sick. And I've had nightmares. And there's just been lots of strange things that have happened in our house since I brought it into our house. And so I want to sell. This. I researched before I actually put it up, listed it. And every owner that I contacted before the sale, they were sick as well. One person actually died while they owned it. And I think that last person that they went to the estate sale could have been that person. But that hardship followed that box. And he said that he heard through his research that it was the result of a Dybbuk. And a Dybbuk is, how like a poltergeist is a kind of ghost? Mm-hmm. Okay, with particular things.
Certainly.
Generalities, okay? Mm-hmm. Well, a Dybbuk comes from Jewish mysticism, and it is a ghost that clings to someone living. Poltergeist to an object or places, but this connects to someone living. And the owner of this box is who the Dybbuk attaches to. So it follows the box along and then attaches to the person. All right? That's the story that he put on the listing on eBay to say, I needed to tell you that before you bid on this item because it is the most haunted thing that I know. And it sold for $120. Imagine if he didn't tell that story. But more importantly than what resulted in bids, it caught on as a viral sensation, and he got on lots of shows to talk about himself and his writing and the antique store that he owned, but also the Dybbuk box got a lot of attention in and of itself. And it really is something of pop culture, so much so that there was a 2012 horror movie called The Possession that was loosely based on the story of the Dybbuk box. Okay? So there we are. His listing was in 2003. The mystery of the Dybbuk box, it gets heard more and more and more through, passed down on, through internet stories and other podcasts, like I just mentioned. Well, in 2016, a guy named Zach Baggins in Las Vegas wanted to open a museum of oddities and haunted items. And the story is that to put the Dybbuk box in his store in 2016 in his museum, he paid tens of thousands of dollars for it.
Oh, wow.
So
that's
that
a
it
lot.
could be there, right? So that's 2016, okay? And he touts it as the most haunted object, all right? Well, in 2021, Kevin Mannis, remember him, who originally posted it, the writer, that posted it, he came clean and said, listen, I made that whole thing up. I was just something, I wanted more than $120 for that thing, and I figured some interesting story would bring that about. All right?
Wow.
So we've got this
Lying
story.
on the internet.
Yeah. So this is where I'm going to jump from that. We had this thing really affecting people because people going to the museum, say that they get headaches around it. People say that horrible things happen to them in the room with the Dybbuk box. If it was all just make-believe, how is this stuff happening? All right? That I want to go from that to say back in the day, and way back on May 2nd, 2019, you all did an episode on something that very well may be the answer to this. Okay? Back in the day, on that specific episode, you talked at great length about tulpas. All right? And so we talked about Jewish mysticism before, and a super quick recap of a tulpa. It comes, in essence, it goes back to Buddhism, but to Buddha, but in Tibetan mysticism, the thought is that through concentration, imagination, and belief, you can actually create a mental construct or an entity, something that actually can affect the world. All right? And that is called a tulpa. Okay? That still happens today. Some people tried to do it. Go back and listen to that episode from 2019. It's a great episode. You all, hitting your stride. It was wonderful. And can you all believe that you've been doing this for like 6 years?
No, I
That's
can't.
wild.
I can't at all.
Isn't that crazy? So it could be, it went viral, right? And lots of people were thinking about this Dybbuk box and giving it power. Could it be that it's actually something that is, taken shape, psychologically around that item? So there is a spirit or something that is affecting the people that are around it. That's probably what I think the most, is really happening now. Is that real as far as, is it going to move the box itself or those kinds of things? I don't think so, but they're talking about it actually having a physical effect on them, the people. All right? Now, here's a little footnote, okay, connected to tulpas, because we're at a time right before the weekend where the new DC Superman is getting ready to come in the stores, okay, or into the theaters. That's a big thing. There is a continuing saga and a belief that he is a tulpa. And imagine, as I said, people thinking about it in their imagination and their belief systems, creating a mental construct or entity. And lo and behold, people. Okay, let me just skip to the end. Sorry, I'm going kind of long. But
you're good.
no. That Superman was created through human imagination, Siegel and Schuster, and over time through mass media, and cultural intention, and the billions and billions of imaginations that Superman has taken an independent psychic energy all of his own. And I'm not just making that up. There's an entire book, and it was written by Alvin Schwartz in 1997, called The Unlikely Prophet. He used to write for Superman, like the comic book. And he said the reason how he got most of his story is the tulpa-like, architect of these stories visited him. So check that book out to learn a little more about the tulpa. And what it said, in essence, is nowadays that this modern myth and the Jungian, person,
collective unconscious
of him. Right. It does present, moments of fear, inspiration, and struggle. And in a sense, it inspires people and it makes people change their behavior and comfort those that are suffering. And that is something that changes those people too. And if it works for the Dybbuk box, that's a tulpa, then Superman is a tulpa as well.
That's an odd thing to think about. I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Alex is looking forward to that movie.
There's a whole, I don't know if I'm looking forward to it, but I hope it's good.
There is a kaiju in it. There is a kaiju, at least in the preview.
Yeah, that's right. There's a kaiju in it, so...
All right.
Yeah.
It applies.
Real quick, my sources were the Zach Baggins website. Also, there's a YouTube video that talks about the Dybbuk box in great detail, better than I could, and it's called The Dybbuk Box Deconstructed with Kenny Biddle. All right?
Oh.
I'm referencing you, 13th floor, as talking about the tulpas back on May 2nd. Have you ever been referenced before?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Feels nice.
Cool.
Awesome. And then a quick summary of that whole book. Wired did a piece in June of 2006 called The Myth of Superman. And that's a good short read of it. And you can go on and read the book for more. But that is my haunted object, the Dybbuk box, and maybe how it is real, even though the author said I made it up.
Man, and kudos to you, Troy, for giving those sources, because I always forget to include mine if I don't do them at the top. And then I usually forget at the top.
He just hops right on into it. But you know who's hopping into it next?
Who?
James. James, what are you talking about?
I'm going to be talking about Annabelle. And we've talked about Annabelle before. By the way, Troy, I got to say, that whole topic makes me think at some point we need to do an egregore episode, because that links in with thought forms and tulpas. But anyway, Annabelle. So one of the reasons I'm revisiting Annabelle is we've got some updates on what she's been up to lately. So I think that's pertinent. And also, I never really discussed the origin story. So anybody who's listened to either our show or any kind of paranormal stuff probably has some familiarity with Ed and Lorraine Warren, a couple of paranormal investigators, husband and wife, who are associated with an entire cinematic universe at this point because of their stories inspiring a bunch of spinoffs, including the Annabelle movie. But this is what the Warrens claim occurred in 1970. There was a young nursing student in Hartford, Connecticut named Donna, and she gave them the doll. And the reason she gave them the doll is she said that the doll was acting strangely. And from there, the story gets a little murky. Some people saying that, like, it was physically moving, and other people saying that it was actually, like, following them around, like, on its feet. And then other people saying that she would come home and it would be waiting at the door for them. So those are three different iterations. So she took the doll originally to a quote-unquote psychic who said that the doll was inhabited by the spirit of a 6-year-old girl who was deceased named Annabelle. So she named it Annabelle for that reason. And she tried to make the ghost feel better, but it kept getting worse, the behavior. And so eventually she got fed up with this very negative and scary behavior, took it to the Warrens. And they were like, this isn't a little girl. This is a demon. You have a demon doll. So they, at that point, took it and attempted to purge it, but they had mixed feelings about that, because if you purge it or expel the spirit, then it's able to, possibly possess people or take on a stronger vessel. So one of the things that I find really disturbing about Annabelle is, according to the Warrens, they gave an entire lecture about Annabelle specifically, and they said that she could psychically cut people, literally like drawing blood from people by cutting them, nothing more than her imagination. And according to them, a priest on one occasion threw the doll across the room and declared, "No doll is stronger than God," and then he crashed his car after he left. And according to Ed Warren, no doll or demon is stronger than God, but a demon is stronger than a man or a priest. So really, really spooky. And also, presumably, a homicide detective was psychically stabbed by the doll, and he had to retire early. So they decided, you know what? We're going to keep her in a little glass box in our little occult museum in Connecticut, and nothing bad could ever happen after that.
That's right.
But unfortunately, something even more diabolical than demons intervened. Zoning violations.
Oh, no.
They had to
Government
close-
bureaucracy.
Exactly. They had to close the museum down, and it was eventually acquired. And I remember telling you guys about this, by the way. I fell for it. I took the bait. May of this year, my entire TikTok feed was just exploded with Annabelle disappearing. Annabelle's gone missing. Annabelle's on the run. Places have burned down where Annabelle was nearby. Turns out it was viral marketing. So what had actually happened, So what had actually transpired is the New England Society for Psychic Research very cleverly had spread the rumor that this had happened, and the reason why is they wanted to let people know Annabelle is going on tour. And so they're actually taking her all over the country, letting people see her. It could be disastrous. We will see. I have no idea. I will say that this October I do intend to visit Annabelle myself, and I really hope nothing bad happens. You heard it here first.
Crazy,
Well,
James.
if it does happen, at least it'll be a 13th floor exclusive.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You're crazy, James. When we met Robert when we were in Key West, Florida, I said, I'm never meeting another haunted doll in my life. That was scary enough.
Even
That
when
is
you were talking
understandable.
about Annabelle, your mic got hot a little bit.
It
like
did.
like she was trying to sabotage you.
That's probably the deal. We're gonna play. If you play this episode backwards, it's actually recipes from some of the cookbooks Troy's found.
Oh, cool. Well,
I didn't know that was part of the viral marketing, James. I just saw one post about Annabelle on the loose, and I was like, I didn't buy into it anyway.
My algorithm knew I was naive, so they were like, just bombard him with these stories.
James is watching all these AI videos of Annabelle running around. He's like, oh my god, he's on the loose.
Exactly. Oh gosh.
well, Alex,
Yeah.
I think it's your turn. What
You want me
are
to
you
go?
talking about? Yeah.
All right. I want to do the woman from Lem. All right. So she's also called the goddess of death.
That's a name.
Yeah. So this is a limestone statue unearthed in Lempa, Cyrus. Why it's not called the woman from Lempa? I don't know. Likely this is dating all the way back 3,500 BC.
That's a long time.
Yeah, this is during a word I learned today. Chalcolithic period. Chalcolithic period.
How do you spell it?
Just think it's like Catholic with an H at the beginning, and then
Okay.
some other letters.
Okay. All right.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, that's right. I thought it sounded like chocolate.
Yeah.
So it's thought to be some sort of fertility idol or representation of some sort of lost goddess. And it's infamous for this alleged curse that follows the statue around. So, the first instance of these illnesses is back in 1878. This is allegedly when it's unearthed, and this is it during the British colonial rule of Olympus Cyrus.
Did they just find it on the ground?
This is the British's fault.
Or did they
blame them?
Or did they uncover it?
What do you mean?
Did they find it in an archaeological dig?
My understanding is, the word unearthed is a key one here.
Okay,
so I
all
think
right, whatever.
They dug it up.
Go on.
And so after it was dug up, then it went through, exchanged several families' hands. Lord Elfont and his family, 7 of them died within 6 years of having the statue.
That's a lot.
The next family that got it, Ivor Manucci, entire family dead within 4 years. The next family, Lord Thompson Noel, all dead within 4 years. Then Sir Alan Beaverbrook, these are definitely British people. His wife and 2 daughters died.
Oh my gosh!
Now he has two sons that survived, and they donated it to the Royal Scottish Museum in Scotland. Now, the curator apparently of the museum died within a year of touching the statue.
Don't touch the statue.
So now the statue is kept behind glass, so nobody can touch it, and if it's ever handled, it's handled with gloves. So the reason that this is called, other than clearly other than being called the goddess of death, it seems to be a little bit of a misinterpretation in terms of its name. Yes, death does seem to follow the thing around, but it does seem that after it was dug up, people kind of misunderstood so the statue has this cruciform design, which usually is a symbolism for fertility. However, some people seem to have misinterpreted it back then as being, instead of being towards fertility, something more dark and nefarious. The other thing, and this is kind of going to go a little bit into Troy's topic a little bit. There's a little bit of a discrepancy here in this story.
Okay.
I think it was the Daily Mail? The Cyprus Mail. They put out an article saying that, and this was by Professor Edgar Peltenberg. His team says that they actually that it was most likely discovered in the 1970s.
So it wasn't even from way back when.
So the problem is all these curses that happened, at least most of them, we wouldn't really know about it, or unless someone went and buried it again. Like a horror movie where you bury the cursed object and someone else digs it up and it's back again.
Yeah. It's a good way to make a movie sequel.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, it looks like a lot of this is narrative that was created on the internet instead.
It's a fun story. It's not a fun story. It's a scary story.
Right. It's really around early internet, 2000s and onward. Stories about this thing just kept circling the web and became common accepted fact about the statue, when in all actuality, as of 2022, most people didn't know this until 2022, that the statue was actually found 100 years later than they thought. And Professor Edgar Peltenberg, his life kind of kills the vibe for this one too.
Uh-oh.
Not in a bad way. Actually, it is a bad way if you want to believe in this thing, because he lived until 2016. He had a long, full life. This man was 70-something when he died.
Okay.
So,
nice.
So, unfortunately, the statue didn't get him, because then we would have something even more fun and exciting to talk about.
I'm glad it didn't get him. I don't know. When I saw a picture of the statue, I was like, it doesn't look like it would be something that looks haunted. Sometimes you look at an object and you're just like, yeah, this is weird. But
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it
really
definitely looks like a fertility statue. I mean, it's got a phallic neck and head, and I'm assuming 2 vulvas, but maybe that first one's cleavage. I don't know, but it's very fertility oriented.
And the other weird thing about this whole thing, it's supposed to be in this museum and up for display, not able to be touched and all this because it's dangerous. But apparently there's no recent sighting or no recent news on it actually even being able to go and look at it right now. So it's like not even something they keep out for everybody anymore. It's just an interesting, I don't know. I find it to be just this interesting, typical legend that's created, but in the internet era, primarily.
I feel like a lot of the haunted objects can somewhat be explained that way. Not all of them, but some of them.
I'm so disappointed at the Dybbuk boxes. The guy was like, yeah, it's not real.
Through the power of editing, you could take that part out.
And now it's magically true.
Oh.
Let's see what you got. What do you have today?
Well, I am covering a topic that James so kindly brought to my attention. And that is the infamous cursed chairs of Belcourt Castle in Newport, Rhode Island. Yeah, from the 17th or 18th centuries when they think these chairs were made. So they're old chairs, but they're not ordinary chairs. They're actually salt chairs, or sometimes called salt thrones. And traditionally, salt chairs like this were reserved for royalty, for special people. And they apparently had this little hollow in their back where you would put salt. Hot commodity way back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I want to look this up. So the whole chair is not made of salt.
No.
Correct?
I initially, when James, you said, hey, you should look into this, CC, I was like, fine. Like, did they just take a giant block of salt and turn it into a chair? No, that's not what it is.
It's a little
That would be
disappointing,
cool.
but also makes more sense.
Yeah, it does.
It would burn to sit on.
That's true.
why I only
You know
wrote
if you
about-
had cuts, yeah.
Well, I'm going to take us back to November 1965, and there's this family, the Tinney family. Specifically, it's Mama and Papa, Harold and Ruth, their son, Donald, and then Ruth's great-aunt, Nellie Ruth. And they found Belcourt Castle, and it had fallen into disrepair at this point. It had been, it had been purchased by other people in the past, but was never properly taken care of, so it was just like a hot mess. But they saw it and they were like, this would be a really cool place to have. And they bought it for $25,000, which in today's money would be about $300,000, which I'm like, that's not bad for buying a mansion, a castle. But they move in and they start fixing the place up immediately. And apparently the family was a collector of all things antiques and vintage. They really like this stuff. So I couldn't find if the chairs were an original part of the house or if it's like something that they brought in, because they basically filled this mansion with all of their stuff. They made it a nice, respectable place, but then a year after they fixed it up, they're like, let's turn it into a museum. So they start hosting tours, and Donald's, the son, he found himself a lovely lady. Her name was Harley. And they got married, and she ends up becoming this mansion's curator and tour guide. She was like, she preserved all of it. She was amazing, apparently. But, she did a great job, but there was odd happenings going on, specifically with these chairs. It became the bane of her existence.
What did they do?
Yeah, so guests would approach them, and a lot of people would report these odd sensations. Like, it would feel like staticky electricity was pulsing through their hands if they touched it or brushed against it, which is a little bit weird, right? Yeah.
Especially for a chair made completely of salt.
Well,
Just kidding.
if people ever tried to sit in the chairs, many reported feeling resistance. So when I picture it being like a magnet. Like, when you try to put two magnets together and they repel each other, that's how people would say this chair made them feel. Like they're trying to sit in it, but it's like, nope, you're not sitting here, bubs. Get out of my way. So some people would also report the ever classic temperature shift. Oh, it's suddenly so cold next to these chairs. Or they would start to feel dizzy and icky and nauseous. And so these chairs very quickly gained a reputation for being naughty, haunted chairs. Nobody wants that.
Interesting. So it didn't hurt anybody. Well, no, it shocked a few people, right? Static electricity.
Yeah, the staticky electricity.
Oh man.
Yeah, and apparently, like, you know, it was a whole bunch of standard haunted object stuff around these chairs, but there was one incident that Harley actually wrote about that was, you know, and she, as the curator of the museum and the tour guide, she got a ton of firsthand accounts of weird things that were happening at the mansion surrounding these chairs and then other objects, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But in one case, this guy was like, I'm going to sit down in the chair. And he sat down in the chair and he got thrown 6 feet across the room. It was just like, boop, and he just flew across the room, landed, and everybody was like, what was that?
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Salt
crazy.
chair. More like a salt chair.
That was good, James. But then on another occasion, and this one was apparently witnessed by some 70 guests. There was a ton of people that were there and saw this happen. A bolt of blue-white light appeared to shoot out of the chair and curve up through the air, and then it just disappeared. And everybody's like, ah! You know, I'd be running out of that room.
That's really weird.
Faster than you could say salt chair. Yeah. So it's like, reminds me of Ghostbusters.
That sounds like a very Ghostbusters thing. Yeah.
So, yeah, everybody was quite frightened of these chairs, but it also had people coming to the castle. They're like, I want to go see the haunted chairs. So, Harley again recorded all his firsthand accounts, but the chairs are still there. They are apparently they're in the Grand Gothic Ballroom on the second floor of the building. Yes. But you can't sit in them anymore. They are now roped off.
What's even the point of going now?
Listen, costs too much chaos. Nobody wants that.
If I can't get thrown 6 feet by a chair, what can I do?
The chair's not the only haunted object at this mansion, though.
Oh, good.
According to my main source, aminoapps.com, Harley shared other stories about other haunted objects, including a mirror that guests would be looking in the mirror and then they would say that their reflection would start to move while they were staying static.
I like that.
Ooh.
That's always fun.
That's creepier than the chair, really.
That's creepy, but I don't think it happened quite as often as the chair, because the chair were like the centerpiece. Everyone wants to see the chairs. I wouldn't want to see my reflection move in a mirror, so I would
What
look
if
at
it
it.
did a perfect moonwalk? Would you like to see that?
Maybe. No, I would not. Harley also claimed to have seen a ghost monk.
What?
Yeah, there was a monk just walking around the castle sometimes, and they had a statue, a monk statue that they owned, and it was on display somewhere and it was the ghost was never too far away from the statue. So they're like, we think that the ghost came from this statue. And then they ended up moving the statue into a little chapel that was on the property. And the ghost went away. So they're like, oh, he's finally happy.
Oh, we're sure someone wasn't pulling the statue along on a string. It was just...
The statue didn't move. It was an actual ghost that stood next to the statue.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But lastly, there was a Japanese suit of armor that some people, including a piano tuner, he was at the mansion. He's just... doing his thing, tuning a piano, and then he claimed that he heard it scream. It's like
he heard the armor scream?
He heard the suit of armor scream. And then I also read something about another suit of armor, and I'm not sure if this was the same suit of armor or a different suit of armor, but people would claim to see a face in the suit of armor, and then sometimes it would scream at girls as they walked by.
So was it like, ooh, ooh la la?
I don't know.
Or was it like,
This is like Peeves the Poltergeist or something from Harry Potter.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a little bit funny, but...
Interesting. So, I mean, they really were collectors then. I mean, they had stuff from all over the world.
Yeah, they did. They had stuff from all over. I think that they said that there were like objects from 33 different countries from all around the world. So they were collectors, and they did a great job. Harley ended up selling, because Donald died, sadly. Harley was the last standing member of the Tinney family. She might still be alive. I'm not sure, but she did a really great job of breathing life into this place, and it's still a popular place to go nowadays. I can't remember who owns it now, but
You're going to get the most haunted object for your buck there.
Yeah, you can
Sounds
go
like.
see lots of them, or you can go to Zach Bagans' place and.
All right. If you had to touch one of the haunted objects
No.
at the place, which one would you touch?
I would never touch any of these haunted objects. Why would I do that to myself?
I would touch the armor. I want to know what the guy's screaming about.
Well, there's that. Would James, Troy, would you guys decide to sit in the Belcourt chairs?
Yeah, if they got rid of that velvet rope.
Exactly, and it would be great content. You know,
That's true.
here we are live, getting ready to sit in a salt chair.
Imagine Troy sits in there and a recipe book from back then drops into his lap.
That would be crazy. I would thoroughly enjoy that content.
Well, I would hold Annabelle in one hand and the statue in the other. And maybe they would be an all-out demon fight. Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Get that on camera.
That'd be good.
Or maybe you would finally put those ghouls into a nicer place. They'd be like, we've we're finished here, and then they would just disappear.
Hello again, Cecil. How are you?
I love it.
Well,
Snap.
guys, that's haunted objects.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we bagged on some haunted objects, except for James. But even he admitted some viral marketing. I mean, these people were running Annabelle around, not afraid to touch her, apparently.
No. Yeah, they got no
ominous.
problem parading her around.
And then Cece seems like you're the only one that, she's still hustling, so she doesn't have to come clean about her fake objects.
She doesn't own it anymore. She's since retired, but
I want to know if hers are real.
you never know because they were having people come and tour and look at these items. So whenever there's money on the table, you have no idea.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I like to believe that Harley was an honest woman.
One of the good ones.
Yeah.
With her running monk boyfriend.
No. Anyways, that's our episode. James, is there anything that we want to add before we part ways?
No matter what you own, no matter how attached you are to it, if it's possessed, don't put it on eBay.
Solid advice.
Why? Why not make a quick buck out of it if you get rid of it?
Don't do that to people.
That's
You
devil's
just tell
advocate.
them what they're getting. That way they
Right?
know.
You need to put that into the description, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
just
my
disclaimer.
And Troy, go ahead and plug your stuff again for us.
Not a problem. Search on YouTube for Hourly Flipper, and I've got loads of videos about helping you make money off of eBay.
That's awesome.
Good deal.
Beauty.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Loved
Yeah.
it. Loved it again. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. And if anyone wants to listen to our music, you can find it on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon Music, anywhere you listen to music.
Until next week, we hope that you can
Keep
keep it
it
strange.
Strange.
Yeah.